unmuting myself. That's one of the things that we all have to get used to with life online. So my name's Carole Williams. I'm one of Hackney's councillors, and I'm the Cabinet Lead Member for Windrush. I'm also the Cabinet Member for Employment, Skills and Human Resources, and my portfolio also includes equalities, not in the title, but it includes equalities. That doesn't mean to say that we don't take equalities seriously as a council. We take it incredibly seriously, as do I. I'd like to thank everyone who is here with us this evening, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories that you've so generously shared from the local Windrush community. Celebrating the contribution of the Windrush generation is something the council has long committed to do before the announcement of National Windrush Day on the in 2018, when it was finally enshrined in a motion to full council that same year, making Hackney the first council in the country to do so. Since then, we've continued to lobby so that those who have been affected by the hostile environment policies receive justice they deserve. Marking the contribution of Windrush Generation is, marking the contribution of the Windrush Generation by holding tea parties and street parades, cricket events and baking days, and creating special memories along the way is incredibly important. I can't tell you just how important that is for all of us, especially when you consider the events of the last few months. And our Windrush events always have inclusivity in mind, and they're a way of bringing the different generations together to learn from one another's life experiences and remember our colossal and important history. Tea parties and cricket matches form part of our work. The other important way to pay tribute to this generation is by calling on the government to end those hostile environment policies, to press the Prime Minister to respond to the call for an independent inquiry into the Windrush scandal, and demand that the government fully support advice agencies, among other things, to review We are also doing a review of our own policies and procedures to ensure that we support those who have been affected. And we've done all of that and more besides. Tonight's event is a really incredibly important one. As you know, COVID has limited our social activity, and thus here we are, online together, while apart. One of tonight's events, on top of tonight's event, our Windrush Generations Festival page on the new Hackney Spirit site is full of learning resources from our museum and our archives. We've got original music and songs composed by Windrush elders, and photography from the Real Selfie Project, an autograph gallery, plus plenty more for you to explore. I'm sure we can drop that link in the chat facility for you. And last week, on National Windrush Day, we announced news of two new artists, Veronica Price and Thomas Price, who will be commissioned by the council to create two different works of art, very different works of art, which in 2021 will become the UK's first permanent public sculptures in honour of the Windrush story. We've committed to installing one of those works of art front and centre in 2021, with one in the Town Hall Square. Placing these artworks in a public space will give us all an accessible opportunity to reflect on our migrant history and show how grateful we are to those who accepted the invitation to help rebuild England following World War II. And while we celebrate this time, it's also important to signpost the support available for those affected by the scandal. Again, on council website, we have details of who's eligible and the support available on the Windrush Generation Festival website, and can drop that into the chat. And I urge anyone who's been affected to make a claim. It's incredibly important to do so, considering that there's only 300,000 being paid out in compensation so far. With that, I'd like to hand over to our very special guest host, author, historian, and associate fellow in the Centre for Caribbean Studies, Colin Grant, Hackney Empire's alter ego talent show finalist, Phoenix, and later we'll be joined by Hackney's Raymond Antrobus to hear some poetry from his award-winning book, The Perseverance. And with that, I'll hand over. Thank you very much for allowing me to join you and to say a few words this evening.
Hi. Like Carol, I was a bit slow off the mark there. Can you all hear me? So tonight we're going to be hearing some lovely short stories and poems read by Hackney's Windrush Generation, to reiterate what Karina was saying. And while they read their poems, we will ask you to listen, but feel free to type in your comments to the chat room, and Phoenix and I will read some of the comments and read out your thoughts, and together we'll reflect on what we've just heard. So both Phoenix and I are now going to read just a few minutes from our work, and then we will lead you through the writers who will be joining us tonight. So I'll kick off a little bit about myself. I've written this book called Homecoming, which is an oral history of Caribbean migration to Britain. I've written 5 books now, and this is probably one of my favorite books because it is a book that I curated in a way, bringing together many stories of the elders from the Windrush generation. This is the introduction. So I should add that my parents are both Jamaican, and they came in the late 1950s. My parents, Ethan and Bagai, came to England in the late 1950s. I was born here. As a teenager, I worked out a neat little summary for the times when people asked me where I was from. I'd say I was British by birth, but Jamaican by will and inclination. If ever Bagai ever heard me, he'd berate me, "Stop, tripe! You're born right here. You are English. I am British. Now let's get that straight. Don't let the man take you for fool." Though Bagai never really expressed much enthusiasm for Britain, he had an uncomplicated attachment to his moral right to be here. His British passport bore the stamp "right of abode." And so what more was there to discuss? Argument done, as Jamaicans say. One thing I was determined to do in this book was not to include too many Jamaicans, because as you probably know, Jamaicans take up too much room, they make too much noise. I can say that because my parents are Jamaican. They have too large a presence in the culture. Well, they earn that place, I suppose, because they are fantastic. But I wanted to spread the love a bit more, so I've spread the love, and I've interviewed more people from St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua than from Jamaica, although the Jamaicans do force their way in. I'm just going to read you a couple of short extracts. So the book is a compilation of 120 real people, and in a way, I'm just there to provide a platform for their stories and giving a sense of why they came and what life was like when they arrived in the 50s and 60s mostly. I'm just going to do 2 short readings. The first one is one of my favorites. It's Louise Smith, who's in her late 80s now, and she came from Jamaica. By the way, you must excuse my patois. I can hear patois, I can read patois, but I can't speak it very well. So this is my home county's Luton patois, so just bear that in mind when you hear this. Louise Smith. When I was growing up, I didn't think I was British. Me Jamaican and me Fonthill, where I grew up, so. Me no talk about no British. One time I remember my brother says the Queen come into Jamaica and you can have this flag. And everybody gets so excited. My mother said, "I'm not going to see no Queen." Why? Listen, Jamaica have some white people. They say they are white people, but boy, I'm not so sure. They live on the level part. They capture it. They have the better part in Jamaica. We's up in the hills where goat run. They, the white man, on the level. They have nanny and cook. My cousin was a cook for one of them, and she get me to help out with the women children. And that time, I was still a child, you know. I never forget this Englishman. Oh, she was mean. When you put the food on the table, any food left, she'd tell you, put it up. You can't eat it. Put it up, she'd say, put it up for tomorrow. When she buy a piece of meat like a leg of lamb or pork, she score it so it's marked, so she know if any missing. That's how they stay, English man and woman. And I thought, when people say they're going to the mother country, them fool if they think they're going to be treated good. They say England mother country, but she was no mumma to me. So that's Louise Smith, who pops up 4 or 5 times, and she's got a lot of verve and energy and dynamism. And that's true of all the people I spoke to. And just one more reading now, because people don't understand the real energy and chutzpah and determination it took to leave the Caribbean to come here. And sometimes you didn't have enough money. And if you were like Sam King, who became the mayor of Southwark, you sold 3 cows to come. And Sam King only had half a dozen cows, so that's quite an investment. And quite a few people didn't manage the fair. And one of them was a man called Wilford Lawson. And he stowed away. I think he was about 19 at the time. We hid behind bananas and had quite a few to eat. We were never hungry. Well, after a few days at sea, we come up from the hiding place because we knew by then they wouldn't turn the ship around. And the chief steward, a white Jamaican called Chambers, ordered me to scrub the deck. I told him, I'm not scrubbing no damn deck. Well, he took my passport, my friend's passport, and threw them all overboard into the sea. Now, when the ship docked, we went in front of a judge and they sent us to Brixton prison in a Black Maria. We had to stay there till the ship unloaded and ready to go back. It was good in the prison because we got on with the warden because he knew we never commit a crime as such. We spent 12 days in prison and then they sent us back to Jamaica. When we were coming back, a lot of the chaps who work in the galley take sick. And because we were now seasoned, almost like seamen, we helped out. We went into a storm, Hurricane Hattie. The ship went into the tail end of that storm. The fellas and me, we just played cards, waiting for the ship to sink. Luckily, we rode out the storm. Back in Jamaica, we were sent to Central Jail in Kingston. My friend got 30 days in Spanish Town prison. But because I helped out on the ship, they was lenient. I only spent another 12 days in jail. I tell you though, it was worse than Brixton. In Brixton, the meals were quite good. We put on weight. But back in Jamaica, the flies used to get your dinner before you. Within 2 years, I save and buy a passage this time. I learned my lesson. No more prison for me. And I was delighted to meet and interview all these people because they all have a kind of flair and a kind of humanity and individual stories which you don't get to hear so readily. And that's true, I think, of all the people we're going to hear tonight. But I think before we hear some of the people who have written their poems and short stories, we're going to hear from Phoenix now.
Hi, I wrote a poem entitled You Black People for Black History Month, and I didn't want to write just facts. I wanted to write my opinion on it, and I wanted to write the experiences that I've been through as a Black female. You Black people, is that your real hair? You Black people, why are you so loud? You Black people. First of all, what does that even mean, you Black people? Is that how we're really seen? We are more than a minority. We are more than a race, so why am I different because of the color of my face? Did you know my ancestors created the comb? They were the first to fix the phone. and the diamonds on the Queen's crown were mined in Sierra Leone. Yes, Black people did that too. So why are we any less than you? It's Black History Month and I bet nobody knew, so why has it not been advertised around the school? Just because we are Black, we are troublemakers. We aren't all the same, that's an understatement, but at the same time, we have to fall out of that stereotype. The police, just wait, they're coming to get you. They're waiting on standby to take another Black youth. A sister can't get a job because her last name's Abdul and Black girls don't have hair. That's why they wear lace frontals. What a misconception. Being Black is a blessing. My great-granddad may have been a slave, but that's not what I was destined. We were kings and queens before being put on the plantation. Queen Cleopatra is someone we look at in admiration. My mum taught me to be a strong Black woman because it wasn't easy for us. We are the rabbits left in the dust. We don't even ask for much. We want to be heard and we want equality. We're not anti-rights, we're pro-Black, the words of Stormzy. One of the British values is democracy, but the way the government are moving, that's hypocrisy. No, not all Black people like chicken. No, not all Black fathers leave their children. And no, by the time you're 17, you won't be in prison. Us Black people are the greatest gift God has ever given. So, you Black people, how are you so strong? You Black people, how can we create a bond? You Black people, you white people, you Asian people, we are a people. We all came from one mother. And also, love has no color. That's it, thank you.
Great. Thanks very much, Phoenix. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. So we should point out also that we're going to be joined later on by the award-winning poet Raymond Antrobus, who I'm really delighted to share a virtual stage with. And as I said earlier, we're going to encourage you to write in the chat bar any comments you want to make about the work that you hear as the writers read their poems and short stories. And Phoenix and I are going to take it in turns to introduce the writers. I'll begin first. So first we're going to hear from Sonia Cummings. And Sonia's going to read, Did We Say You Can Stay? Sonia Beverly Cummings is 64 years old and lives in Hackney, mother of 3 grown-up daughters, grandmother of 9, and great-grandmother of 1. She was born in Jamaica and came to England in 1973 to join her mother, who was already here from the late 60s. She worked as an assistant cook, later as a home care worker, and retired for health reasons. She writes poetry as a way of saying, I stand with you, and believes that the pen is mightier than the sword. Sonia's written 2 collections, Within a Mental Mind and Second Time Around, which are about fulfilled life experiences. She's a member of the Hackney Library's Lockdown Poetry Group, which will be publishing a collection of work later this year called Did We Say You Can Stay? So this is Sonia's welcome contribution to the Windrush Generation. Sonia Cummings.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, yes, Sonia.
Okay. Did we say you can stay? Me come to England to learn proper English, to learn to build flat and sleep in a beautiful, stylish house. But me dear, when the boat land, me plans sink in the sand. Nowhere to rest my weary bone. No black, no dark, no Irish. Greet me at every door. Me slum it for years and work. Me build big houses, but me can't go through the door. Time pass, me get a little bottle to call me own. Laying in bed one morning, I thump on the door. Jump out of bed to see who a break down my door. The chap said to me, "Come with me, mate. Your paper me like to see. We believe you have no right to stay in this country. The plane and £2,000 coming your way. Before me have time for open my mouth, the cell door some shut." Now what happened there? Not even a phone call. Me have to wait till morning. In the jail, me find myself without bail. Man, me have to prove my right to stay in the land me call home for years. Me have to prove, in the land me give me blood, sweat and tears. In the land me bring up my daughter and my son. In the land me call home for 60 years. Rest assured, me not done. Me nah go sit here and twiddle my thumb. This a case, me a go on. That's it.
Oh, well, that was lovely, Sonia. Well done. I'm glad you're called Sonia. My sister's called Sonia. I think some people see what But Sonia, I wonder, what was the inspiration for you to write that lovely passage there? What brought that to mind?
Things that I watched recently about Windrush and things that I hear from years, like when our generation, and peoples, or all the Windrush, our family, ancestors come over here earlier. They were told they can't enter, they can't live in the house with people. Everywhere they go to rent place, they have sign up saying no black, no dogs, no Irish, and stuff like that. My mom come over here early as well, but my mom was very fortunate to be able to find somewhere to live, and be able to do it. She was a special machinist and be able to do her work,
What would your mom say about you performing tonight, do you think?
Oh, I hope she's up there looking at me and saying, well done, well done. She passed away in November.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, you've done her proud, Sonia. Well done.
Thank you.
Tamil says, I love it, Sonia. Karina says, beautiful. Shiri says, yes, well done. There's lots of golden hand claps your way, Sonia. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I think now Phoenix is going to introduce the next reader, who is Lydia. So over to you, Phoenix.
Lydia is reading Windrush Girl, reading Joyce Edwards' poem and also hers, Me Say, You Say. Lydia Julian works for Hackney Library Services and also a freelance artist and workshop facilitator. She has been doing oral history with a range of people, including her own family, tracing their route from the West Indies to London through recalling memories and feelings. No.
Sorry. Sorry, I was just unmuting. Thank you so much, Phoenix. I'm really honoured to be introduced by you. I'm going to do Me Say, You Say first. Sorry, You Say, Me Say first, and then I'll do Windrush Girl, which was written by Joyce Edwards. You say, me say. I from Jamaica. I hail Trinidad. I hail St. Vincent. I hail Montserrat. I hail all the islands when you asked me to come help the motherland. I came up on a boat to Plymouth, but some of we come by plane. We are motherland and liberty. You said to us, the round fat man came in 1953 to Jamaica full of voice and vigor. He Churchill full of purpose for us. But he did not tell what we would find. It is not the people, the government changed the rules. Suddenly, no Irish, no blacks, no dogs. I's not a dog. I came up on a boat to Plymouth, but some of we come by plane. I from Jamaica. I hail Trinidad. I hail St. Vincent. I hail Montserrat. I hail all the islands when you asked me to come help the motherland. I saw a lot of bakeries with smoke coming out of the chimney. I didn't realise it was chimney in the house. In the house? What? Inside. It was cold. It was a cold, cold bus to Bethnal Green. Now, it's okay. It's not so cold. You didn't know cold, like it was cold then. You had no idea. It was so cold. The coolness now, it's not like the coolness then. So many chimneys with smoke curling into the sky. I had 2 jobs as I wanted to raise my family decent. She had 2 jobs as she wanted to raise her family decent. He had 2 jobs as he wanted to raise his family decent. We nurses, engineers, workers, for we here. Ford employed a lot of us. Dagenham, what a journey, what a trip. But the people, not we though, they drank off all their money, all their cash, shillings and pence. In the toilet, jingle jangle, whoosh. But I was saving for my family and me to raise my family decent. Yes, memories were made of this. Some of it, I'm sure they will regret. We were treated so badly, even though the round man invited us here. Some faces are friendly, some are full, red of anger. He didn't teach us about ourselves, to handle conflict when it arrived in our faces. But face it, we did. 1955 until now. My skin is black and cocoa brown, said Marcus Garvey. Yeah, I'm sure he did. But I said, the black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. Be aware of your colour. I am just a human. Saturday, Sunday rises, with my gloves and eyes rise to the steeples decorating the sky. Cold or rain, I walk the street again, not in my overalls, but fine, fine shoes, shine to a spit, looking dandy in my suit or skirt, flounce it under my new warm coat. Me never drank off all my money. I needed that coat. The cold. It was cold, but not like coolness like now. A slam door in my face, turned away from the church. It may lose its members, but there was an inn down the road. Was he a saint or a sinner? Did he help us? Looking for sanctuary and succour. When he looked upon me and I upon him, the welcome was like a balm. And I was in the 60s swing of things, without the floppy hair and brown sugar eyes. 1955, 1958, 1962, the years are going by. My money was in my pocket and paid for the rug upon the floor. My floor, whether in tower block or lovely 3-bedroom with garden, it was mine, ours to raise decent, somewhere for us to go. Irish, blacks, dogs, but I is not a dog. Trying to stop Black history, my history. You say, me say, Lewis. Lewis, you say, me say. I came up on a boat to Plymouth, but some of we come by plane. I from Jamaica, I hail Trinidad, I hail St. Vincent, I hail Montserrat, I hail all the islands when you ask me to come help the motherland. You say, me say. You say, me say. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just going to bring up the other one, Windrush Girl by Whistle Edwards. Sorry, just bear with me 1 second for the interludes, because I just need to find it. So I'm just going to bring the document. Can you all hear me? Still okay. That's great. Thank you. So I hope I can do this justice to a poet who couldn't be here tonight. And this is by Whistle Edwards, and it's called Windrush Girl. Windrush Girl left she beautiful island in the sun. To come and live in the motherland, she came with great expectations, leaving everything behind. She parents, sisters and brothers, relatives and friends, neighbours and well-wishers, hoping for a better life where she'd walk on streets paved with gold and £5 notes. Windrush Girl came only for 5 years to earn enough to go back and show off, but alas, her expectations were fraught when she had to work for just enough to buy chicken feet, pig head, and feet, cow and hill, winter coats, mitten, boot, hat and scarf to keep herself warm. She didn't like all that. She wanted to go back. Windrush Girl thought she would live in a big war house with toilets and bath, have she own room and sleep on her own bed, but instead she had to sleep curled up like sardines in a tin and wait for Saturday to come and go and languish in the public bath. Windrush Girl was accustomed to speaking Creole patois, but she had to learn the Queen's English. She was used to eating green banana, sweet potatoes, dashing and yam, rice and peas, oil down crab and callaloo. But instead, have to eat English potato, fish and chips. Windrush Girl became very disillusioned and wanted to go back. There were no pound notes and streets paved with gold. No summer to wear she fineries. She cousins them tried to give she courage, them say, don't go back yet. Summer will soon come. But me waited and waited and didn't see any summer. The sun was shining, but me still stuck in my winter coat. Me asked them, what kind of summer is that? Be patient, I tell you. Summer will soon be here, and you can take off your winter coat, boots, mitten and hat, and wear your fineries and walk half naked on the street. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Phoenix, you want to say anything?
Well, I suppose just two things. The first poem, You Say, Me Say, was actually a collection of, it was taken from a project I did at Peppy Close, which is a residential home within Hackney. And it's for the Afro-Caribbean community, so they can live for the over 55, so they can live as independently as possible. And it was Christopher Garnsworthy from the Community Library Services that introduced me to a lot of the residents there. And I was really honoured and privileged to work with them. And just basically, it was my job just to sit and listen and just to kind of receive all of their experience and memories and put it together. And it led me into then sort of talking to my own family, to my own mother, not seeing her just as my mother, but as this extraordinary young woman who, you know, it's not like us, we can just go, book a ticket, jump on a plane. It's, as you said before, Colin, it was an extraordinary decision to go and not know if you were going to come back or what was there. And my mother didn't know what was going to be there for her when she arrived at Southampton on, it was Christmas Eve, 1964. And I then saw her as a young woman arriving in England and full of expectations, but also kind of determination as well. And so that's really led me into that, and just to be able to kind of be part of this, to actually amplify our history, but also to reposition it. I'm incredibly honoured to be here. And the second poem that I read by Whistle Edwards is, she's Whistle, and actually her name is Joyce, has lived in Hackney for a really long time. She's actually been a nurse as well, and she's participated in lots of different projects around Windrush. And it was really, I've really wanted her to actually be part of this, and for her words to be read out, and her voice to be added to the hundreds and thousands of others of us.
Well, you've done her proud. Thank you very much, Lydia. And lots of people send wonderful poems, wonderful performance as well. So you're the right person to read these works. So thank you. So I think we're going to go on now to the next writer, who's called Maxine. Maxine, also known as Max, especially when she's musing. She's born and raised in Birmingham, but lived in London for many years. Max's father came to England from Jamaica when he was 27. Her mother followed 3 years later at the age of 24. The name of the prose poem that she's going to read is Tales of a Windrush Christmas. It captures a piece of her childhood, almost like a tapestry or a warm blanket, which may resonate with some. So, Max, over to you. Really looking forward to it.
Can you hear me? I'm off mute. Thank you, Colin. And it is my pleasure. I feel as though I'm with family, sitting around a table and eating good food, hopefully drinking nice wine later. But Lydia, thank you for the invitation. Nadine, Grant, I know you're here somewhere. Thank you for inviting me. And Karina, you've been brilliant in just getting this going. Right, Windrush. I've been quite leery about Windrush. Lydia, as you've said, I think it's important to shift the narrative, because often when we hear of Windrush, we think of the scandal, what's been done to us. And actually, I think it's a beautiful passage of time. So what I'd like to share is kind of a little piece of history. It may resonate with some, it may not with others, and clearly I'm not old enough to remember it, so I'm going to take this from someone else. Well, it's my childhood, so I'll just go on. Okay, the tale of a Windrush Christmas. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. Now, some of you may recognize this from Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities, but truth be told, these words represent my Christmas for as far back as I can remember. So I'm not particularly enamored by Christmas. I'm not. I'm just not. All of that force, joviality, goodness to all mankind or womankind or humankind in this age of correctness or humankind, it really irks me. Christmas irked me as a child. So my Christmas as a child was spent wrapping many gifts for people, in my view, frankly, didn't appreciate them, didn't deserve them, writing many cards, going to Ridley Road Market with my mom and my sister and lugging many a bag home. And for my fellow Cockneys who can remember the old Ridley Road Market, I can see you, Karina, I'm repping for you. Then we had the preparation leading up to Christmas, buying new curtains, cleaning the windows, the polishing of the ornaments. And Lord of mercy, weren't there many ornaments? And for some strange reason beyond my comprehension as a child, Mum always managed to receive more ornaments every single Christmas. And to me, I seriously think it was a subtle personal attack on me and my insensibilities for not wanting to polish them. That's me. I'll hold on to that narrative. Then we'd have the seasoning of the meat. Someone mentioned we're going to season now, so we're going to be having pork, beef, mutton, turkey, oxtail, and etc., etc., etc. Anything move, them catch it and season it. Then the preparation of the veg. Carrots, cabbage, sprouts, spring beans, you name it, we prepared it. I'm tired just thinking about it. Then the guests. I come from a really large family and it's extended. So my father is the eldest of 12 and he took that long passage to England in 1960, not 1948 on Windrush, 1960 SS Begonia, and my mother, the youngest of 8, followed 3 years later, and she always likes to say she never come off nor boat, she come on plane, because you know they like to make that difference. And it's funny, but little did they know it then, and actually when I was growing up, little did I know, but as history unfolds, they're now both considered to be part of the Windrush generation. But there's a deeper history. So we need to look into that. How did our parents get here? They didn't all come on Windrush. And over the years, my parents' family expanded. They included children like me. I'm the youngest of 6. They have grandchildren. I don't even know how many grandchildren they have, but I'm a grandmother. They have great-grandchildren, and they have many friends, old and new. And growing up, as far as my introverted eye could discern, just about any lonely stranger that could be scraped up off the streets would appear as our family gathering at Christmas. I can see some of you laughing because you know this is true. So said, so done. I survived the false jovialities. I watched the Queen's speech. I ducked and dived from the phone calls from all over the world. not quite got away from Skype and WhatsApp video message in recent times, but I'm trying, and listening to them and just speaking to these different people that they've known for varying lengths of time. Some of these people they've known for a lifetime, and fancy that. And sometimes just listening to the intonation in their voices, it made me happy, but it also made me sad because of the distance between them. And the vibrations of their voices uplifted them. It almost was like a song. And sometimes I wish that I had that song to sing, and I wish we still had that song to sing. Last year, I was minded of Mum slowly disengaging the phone after speaking to her cousin 3 or 4 times removed, but family nonetheless. And she looked at Dad and she said, "Tommy, she don't have a clue who me's, you know, but she remembered the day that we were married." And tears really came to my eyes because it just, at the time I didn't know, but it was just that history that they had. And my aunt, 3 times removed, now obviously dementia and Alzheimer's. And if this same aunt was to buy my mom another ornament this Christmas, I'd treasure it, because this is history. It's history as it unfolds, and something that we should all try to emulate for those that come after us, because we all have unique and different ways of doing that. And for me, history is a strange way of revealing itself. It's not really something that we sit and ponder on as we live and breathe it. But as I listen to my parents and I listen to them regaling their stories and history to their offspring, 3 generations hence, I'm proud of their journey. I'm proud of their history. And I'm proud that they are an integral and intrinsic part of British history. They came, they saw, they definitely conquered. Thank you.
Yes, Veni Vidi Vici, Max, well done. So much of what you said resonates with me, I'm sure resonates with lots of people. Was the West Indian front room important to you?
Oh, wow. Now, I am going to have to write a piece on the West Indian front room, aren't I?
You are, yes, because you've got the visualization of that front room came through very strongly in your piece.
Yeah.
And the song of maybe Jim Reeves singing on a Sunday morning, Welcome to My World, perhaps.
Okay.
So yeah, Nadine Grant says, great one, Maxine. Conquered indeed, says Shiri. Beautiful, says Lydia. And I would concur, that was really lovely and really tender and poignant. And I agree with you too, that we mustn't focus solely on the scandal. We must also celebrate the great success and triumph of these great pioneers who came to this country. So I'm going to hand back to Phoenix, who's going to introduce the next reader.
Thank you.
The next reader is Sharon Boyeya, Raised by Beautiful Monsters. For many years now, she's been planning to tell her own story one day, she says. Her book will be the shelves and in the cinemas. She's honored to read her short piece. There may be a few tears.
So Phoenix, I think we have her afterwards because she's running a little bit late from work. So let's just skip on to Trevor.
Okay.
Could you read Trevor's bio?
Okay. Trevor Stewart. Trevor Stewart. Flying Tiger Line to the Promised Land. Now based in Germany, but used to play sports and socialise in Hackney, where he lived in the UK. Born on the 11th of April 1947, in Manchester, Jamaica. Arrived in England October 1957. Lived in London until 1973. Spent a lot of time in Hackney, Stamford Hill, where he played badminton in Middlesex County. Studied chemistry at South Bank University. Worked as a scientist at the laboratory of the government chemist in London. Now living in Germany, semi-retired as a business coach, having worked in over 35 countries.
Trevor, are you there? Are you with us, Trevor? If you can hear me, Trevor, you need to unmute yourself, Trevor. There's a little sign icon for the microphone. You've pressed that, you'll unmute. Can you see it, Trevor?
I can see Trevor's on the call, but...
Yeah, Trevor, there should be an icon at the bottom of the screen that looks like a microphone. If you press that icon, you will then unmute.
Yes, I'm okay. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yes.
An old guy making a mess of it. Okay, thank you for having me. I'm in Germany now, in Bavaria. Although I'm far away, I'm still with you. And what I've heard up till now is very moving. So I'm part of the history, but I'm far away. So my story is just a short story about my journey as a child, a 10-year-old boy on a plane to England. So it's no scientific, and it's not about actually how you're there. It's just a simple journey. So I'd like to start. The Flying Tiger Line to the Promised Land. The Flying Tiger Line is the name of the aircraft. Yeah, just like you have EasyJet or British Airways. In those days, it was a Flying Tiger Line. Here I am, 10 years old, standing at the airport in Montego Bay. I had never left Ellen Street, Manchester before. I was leaving this evening, October 1st, 1957, to join my parents in London. Safe journey, Eddie. Mummy will be there when you arrive. Aunt Rose cried. She had been looking after me since my parents left 6 months ago by boat. I got a window seat on the Flying Tiger Line. An elderly lady plonked herself down beside me, fastening her seatbelt. Buckle up now, she said with a serious look, as if we were going to war. So I was now tied up in this plane. The plane started to move. It sounded as if there was thunder and lightning and began to shake. I held onto my seat firmly. The lady next to me mumbled, Lord God, take me safely to England. This monster somehow left the ground, swaying its way over the Caribbean Sea. I fell asleep exhausted. Suddenly the plane dipped. Oh no, we're going to crash midway and dead. I grabbed hold of my seat. There was a loud bang. Happily, it was only the wheels hitting the ground. The ground was all white. It was cold and windy. As we got off the plane and walked through this white substance towards a building in the distance. It's snow, young man. You're going to get plenty of it in England, said the man next to me. I looked at him puzzled, thinking, how him know that? I didn't like this at all. No, man. And wanted to turn back. The plane had refueled and took off for Nova Scotia. I was happy to leave. Me can't live there. No, man, snow going to kill me. We landed again to refuel in snowy Iceland. We are now approaching London Heathrow Airport. I looked out the window. This was England. I could see lots of houses and a river, roads and bridges. Everything packed up. We finally landed. Everyone clapped and cheered. The morning of the 3rd of October 1957 was foggy and cold as I took the bus to my final destination. I started to count the vehicles, but gave up after 100. The people wore dark clothing, coats, scarves. Even the women wore trousers. I felt safe sitting in the bus and saw so many things quickly passing by till we reached Victoria Station. I stepped out with my little bag and my heart beating. Where was my mum? No sooner the worry, no sooner the relief. There she was in her dark blue London Transport uniform, running towards me. Eddie, Eddie, she cried. I couldn't move. I wanted to run to her, but just started crying instead. She took me in her arms and hugged me so tight that all the anguish I had felt on the journey was squeezed out of my body. I could just smell the smell I had so longed for. I could feel her heartbeat. You must be hungry. She took a shiny green fruit out of her handbag. I grabbed it and bit into it like a starving wolf. It's sour, I don't like it. I spat it out. Mummy looked at me in a way which told me to expect the worst. Her beautiful smile had turned into the same face which I knew when I forgot to feed the rabbits. This apple is expensive. I had to work hard to buy it. So eat it and don't let me hear another sound from you. Bye-bye, sweet fruits. Welcome to the promised land. Thank you.
That was great, Trevor. That was fantastic. That was very evocative. Daryl says, wow. Writing Our Legacy says, lovely, very moving. How long were you separated from your mother before you were able to meet her?
I was separated for a year.
Yeah. And do you remember counting down the days before you could fly to join her?
Well, not that much, because my aunt Rose looked after me, and we stayed as grandchildren in the whole family, so we had a good family knit. So the grandmother looked after the grandchildren. So actually the time went fairly quick.
And what I was struck by when listening to you was the detail. So was it difficult to conjure that time, or was it something that's still very vivid in your imagination?
It's still very vivid in my imagination, because I'm writing a book about my life. It's in 3 parts about my life in Jamaica, in England, and now in Germany, writing it for my grandson. So I dug into the memories, and it was so exciting. I could hardly stop writing. That was just a short piece from it. And there's a lot more to it, but it's a pleasure just to share it with you. And it's always brings back good memories.
No, it's lovely. And I think people are becoming familiar now with this idea of barrel children. You know that phrase, Trevor, barrel children?
Yeah.
So this is it's a phenomenon that I didn't really know much about when I was growing up, that there are many people came and had to leave their children behind with their grandparents or their other relatives. And sometimes there was anguish, wasn't there? A lot of trauma in the separation. But what I loved about your story was both the delight of seeing your mother and then her reverting to type and putting you in your place.
Yeah.
That was very smartly done. Lydia says, we look forward to hearing more. Rosemary Antrobus says, even the bananas don't taste so sweet and no ripe mangoes. So, and Trevor Woodbury Down says, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much, Trevor. So I'm going to hand back now to Phoenix, who's going to introduce the next reader.
Please, can I interrupt?
Oh, please, yes.
How do you write? Oh, Trevor is so touching. How do you write in the chat? Where do I go to write in the chat? I'm on the computer.
On the right-hand side, there's you should see an icon, a little square icon. That's the chat.
Oh,
so
now.
Yeah, you got it. In the top right-hand corner, there's a little speech bubble. And if you press that, you can type into there. It's meant to be clock.
Let me see.
Whilst you're doing that, Sonia, we'll get Phoenix to introduce the next reader.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn off.
Introduce the next reader.
Is Amanda here?
Oh God.
Before you introduce? Because I haven't seen Amanda on the list, so I'm just double checking. Is Amanda here?
She's here. I'm here. She's here.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. I'll hand back over then. So, all yours.
Okay. Amanda E.S., a grip and a prayer, has lived in Hackney since 1992 and now lived in Beauvoir with her 3 children. She was born in Greater London to Barbadian parents who travelled to England in the early 50s to seek a better quality of life. Whilst growing up, Amanda would listen to her parents share the experiences of early London. She is a chair of Friends of Woodbury Down in the 50s community group and works with a diverse group of older people, some of whom travelled to England from various Caribbean islands in the 1950s and 1960s, and share similar stories. She enjoys writing poems and stories for both adults and children.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for letting me be part of this. This is fantastic. The stories that we've heard so far have been amazing. My poem this evening is called A Grip and a Prayer. And for those of you that don't know, the younger ones, a grip is an old-fashioned suitcase. So a grip and a prayer. I came to England with a grip and a prayer. I honestly didn't know what to expect when I reached there. They said the mother country needed our help. She had been struck down after the war with Hitler and needed to be rebuilt. My husband, a carpenter, he could build anything, and my skills lie in the kitchen. I was good at cooking. He came first in 1954 to earn my boat fare. £28 and 10 shillings, that's how much it would cost. And back in those days, that was a lot. I followed next in 1955 with only one good church dress in my grip by my side. My mother, she gave me no money as she waved me goodbye. Off to England, I was excited, I was scared, but I didn't cry. I was a woman of 17, so I held my head high. I couldn't wait till we land to get off the ship, because 3 weeks on board, I remember very little because I was sick. Other people in my cabin, they seemed to be okay. And Beryl from Church Village, she awoke me to say, the captain announced we had 3 more days. From warm sunshine to icy cold. They never warned us about chilblains when the temperature dropped low. Some people we encountered were even colder than ice. Why don't you go back? They would shout. That part was not nice. Still, I held my head high and I ignored it all. I had to be a strong woman. The British government, our mother country, asks for help to heal this broken land. So how come the people who lived here didn't want to understand? We are here making a new life for everyone, rebuilding broken Britain. Bombed buildings and houses with shredded roofs, gaping holes in the side, once a home, now stood empty and decaying. Oh, well, any wind that blew would topple them for sure. A ravished land with only time and hard work for its cure. Working day and night to make ends meet with just enough to cover rent and food so that we could eat, and a little to send back home. Back home you could plant your food and anything would grow. I really miss my coconuts, my soursop, and my mangoes. Seeing snow for the first time was both a shock and a delight. Knitting winter clothes by day to keep warm at night. And that old paraffin heater, you know, the one with the adjustable wick, kept the house just warm enough so we didn't get cold and sick. We moved house 6 times, and luckily now our neighbours are nice. And now call England our home. Yes, we all have a new life. I sit by my window and stare into the greying clouds. I wonder what they're doing back home. I know they all feel proud. For although I am here and call England my home, part of my heart will always be in my warm, sunny, colourful Caribbean country. Thank you.
That was great. That was great. That was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
I wonder what was the inspiration for you for writing that poem? How did it begin?
It's the stories that my mum and my father, both from Barbados, that they would tell me about their experiences living in England and coming over the trip. My mum said she was so sick. She doesn't actually remember the journey at all. She was just vomiting and seasickness, and yeah, she really had a bad time, a rough time coming over. So it's just little bits and pieces that I've heard over the years, and I just put them together. Yeah, and I thought it needed to be shared.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you've done proud of your parents and your siblings as well. Karina says she loved the mangoes. I love the mangoes on Ridley Road Market.
Yeah.
I remember placing a massive seed in the garden and hope it would grow. Lydia says that was very powerful. I should point out also that I think Trevor's sister has popped up to say hello. Maureen Olmelda, well done, Trevor. Love your sister who joined you soon after. So that was great. Oh, hugs from everybody, by the way. That was very lovely. I wonder now whether we should go back and see whether Sharon, is Sharon with us? Is Sharon here?
I haven't seen her arrive. Let me just double check.
Well, whilst I'm waiting for that, I should tell Trevor that Sonia Cummings says, Trevor, I admire your story. It was like a big hug. Freedom to Roam says, wonderful. Love the reference to the grip.
Okay, so we don't have Sharon, unfortunately.
Okay.
But we can move on to Raymond, who I believe is on the call.
Yes, so we're now going to hear from the wonderful, lovely Raymond Antrobus, who multi-award winning, including the Ted Hughes Prize a little while ago, and has remained a humble and talented and splendid man. Here we go. Over to you, Raymond.
Thank you, Colin. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hello. Trevor's got his sister on the line, so there's a bit of a sibling crush over here because I'm the little brother of Karina who's hosting this event. Yeah, blessed to be here, listen to everything. Yeah, me and my sister, we grew up in Hackney. Our dad's Jamaican, our mom's English, but all of the references that I'm hearing on the Ridley Road, and the ship that our dad came on was called the Apinia. It's like it's a Italian word for wolf, and he came here in 1957. And our dad had so many stories, and I resonate with so much of what I'm hearing. So yeah, big up Sonia and Lydia and Maxine and Trevor and Colin and Phoenix and Amanda. It's an honor to be here and to be heard and to be seen. I'm just going to read one poem for you to contribute, and it's a poem which has just been put on the GCSE syllabus, and that's an honor. That was a shock and a thing to know that you know, our stories, you know, they get to live on. And this poem is called Jamaican British. And if you want, when I do this, you can just say the word British, even if your camera, your microphone isn't on. So when I do that, just say British. If you know any BSL or sign language, how to say British in sign language is this: British, British. How to say Jamaica in British Sign Language is this. So I like this sign for Jamaica because you see the rock here and the water going round the rock. So, you know, Jamaica, land of wood and water, and there's the water going around the rock. So, yes, this is called Jamaican British. Some people would deny that I'm Jamaican British. Nose Anglo, hair straight, the way I'm Jamaican British. They think I say I'm black when I say I'm Jamaican British. But the English kids at school made me choose Jamaican British. Half caste, half mule, house slave, Jamaican British. Light skin, straight male, privileged Jamaican British. Eat the callaloo, jerk chicken, I'm Jamaican. British don't know how to serve our dishes, they enslaved us. At school, I thought a boy in the lunch hall, Jamaican. At home, I told Dad that I hate them, all them Jamaicans. I'm British. He laughed, told me you cannot love sugar, then hate your sweetness, and took me straight to Jamaica, passport British. Cousins in Kingston called me Jar English, proud to have someone in their family British. Plantation lineage, World War service. How do I serve Jamaican British when knowing how to war is Jamaican British? Thank you. Thank you. It's on one poem. And I also want to say big up someone used the term the age of foolishness, and I've written that down, and I like that idea, the age of foolishness. Oh, Sonia has my book. Thank you, Sonia. Yes, thank you for listening. Thanks, Colin.
That's great. I just say that Tommy Lee says, wow, fantastic. Freedom to Roam says, amazing. I love the use of sign language. How did that come about? You want to answer that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I went to a deaf school when I was 11. My primary school was London Fields. And then I got moved to a school in Islington called Hanover because they had more in-class support for me because they realized that I was deaf and I needed hearing aids and in-class support and radio aids and this kind of thing. I still wear hearing aids now, but they've got really small. I used to have these big, massive hearing aids, but now they're like really small and hidden. So when I was 11 years old, I started learning sign language, British Sign Language. I had deaf friends, but I was, you know, the same way I was in between this world of like black and white or Jamaican and English. I was also between the world of like deaf and hearing, and I had to do lots of lip reading, lots of sign language to exist in the hearing world. And it's actually becoming a poet that I realized that the sign language was a language I could utilize as well. I was in Jamaica 2 years ago and I met these people that run this organization called Deaf Can, and it's part of a Jamaican boarding school, a deaf Jamaican boarding school, where the students get to, you know, learn Jamaican Sign Language, and being in the school, they also get jobs as baristas. So when people come into the coffee shop, this is a school in Kingston, by the way. When people come into the barista shop to Coffee Can, you order your coffee using sign language, Jamaican Sign Language. And if you don't know any Jamaican Sign Language, you're given like a tablet, like an iPad, and then there's all like instructions of how to sign for your coffee. So I remember that was coffee in Jamaican Sign Language. Yeah, so I've kind of got interested in that community, in the deaf community nationwide.
Quite a few people are very impressed by the fact that your poem is going to be on the curriculum. How do you feel about your poem being on the curriculum?
I feel honored in the sense that, you know, one of my most memorable English lessons was when John Agard's half-caste poem was played to me. I was about 12 years old. Some of you may know it. And, you know, straight away you see John Agard. What's the first line in the poem? Explain yourself what you mean when you say half-caste. When we stand up on one leg. Excuse my accent, but, you know, John Agard. Yeah. But I remember being like lit up by that and being like, wow, he sounds like my dad, like, you know. And I think poetry was always this kind of thing that I felt I had access to, because my dad loved Miss Lou, he loved Linton Kwesi Johnson, he loved Muta Baruka, and he would play these tapes to me, and he would like laugh at them, and then he would have me, you know, repeat some of the words. So I always felt that, you know, I know a lot of people feel intimidated by poetry, but I always felt like I had a license to embrace it because of my heritage and my family. So yeah, sorry, the question was, how do I feel about it being on the curriculum? Yeah. I mean, it's surreal, but it's also a weird one where it's kind of like, you know, it's going into an institutional space, and the time that we're living in now, where everyone's questioning these institutions, everyone's questioning, you know, how we get educated, how we talk about Black history, and how complex that is, even the term Black. Lorna Goodison, one of the poet laureate of Jamaica, is one of my heroes, one of my absolute favorite poets. She has an amazing poem, which you may already know, but it's called Different Shades of Black. No, sorry, To Make Various Sorts of Black. And this poem is amazing because Lorna Goodison talks about a painting. And in that painting, it's about painting the Black faces and what all the different shades of Blackness within the paint. You can look it up, it's online. I love that poem. So the fact that, you know, my poems get to, you know, sit aside poets like John Agard, and then can be spoke about in relation to people like Lorna Goodison is a blessing.
Lower Clapton, whoever that is, hello Lower Clapton, says hearing doesn't mean that you listen, but you do both par excellence. Raymond, well done. Thank you for the rhythmed offering.
Thank you. Bless.
Writing Our Legacy says, what is the Jamaican sign language for fab?
Fab.
Yeah.
I mean, the universal thing for fab is just.
Yeah, right.
Or just like fantastic or fab.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think we'd all agree that you were fab, and I'm going to hand back now to Karina, your fab sister.
There we go. So yeah, that brings us more or less to the end of all our readers who joined us today. I'm so thrilled that we had such a good opportunity to hear from so many of you, and you know, this is the first event I've created online and in my newish role here at the council. So I'm really pleased that this has gone so well, and it's been very touching to have you all contribute. And I know that we've got people from all over the world here today, and that's really special, from Germany to America to Lower Clapton. So really do get about. I'm going to hand quickly back over to Petra, who may want to say some last few words a bit about the Windrush Generations Festival and how there's opportunities still available to those of you that might want to contribute to that. Petra, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Can I just start by saying it's such a joy to see everyone coming together tonight and to listen to such a variety of stories. I think we've kind of managed to you know, create all these emotions, you know, from all the generations, from the younger people like Phoenix right up to, you know, the first and second Windrush generation. And I think it's been such a truly inspiring event. We can't leave it there. And I think Councillor Williams will agree with me. We'll need to take this away and think about what we can do with this type of event. Early in the year, we applied for some government funding and we were successful in getting a government grant for the Windrush Generations Festival. There is still a little bit of money left over. So if you have any ideas of how you would like to continue celebrating the Windrush history and the Windrush story in Hackney, please let me know. We can spend that money up until next year, March 21. Just to say at this point, I need to declare, Raymond, I'm the daughter of Trevor, so there is family connections all over here. But it's fantastic to see so many familiar faces from Hackney and to be connected worldwide around this as well. And we would really like to take this recording, if everyone's happy, and to put this online as an on-demand event so that many other people that wanted to be here tonight, we can still share all those incredible stories. So thank you, Corinna, for organizing this event. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Raymond, for fronting this for Hackney. And thank you to all of you who have made those contributions. And thank you to my partner in crime, Cherie, who has organized the Windrush Generations Festival. Big up.
There's been so much work gone into this. Thank you. And to Phoenix as well. Thank you so much. Are you here still? I think she had technical difficulties, but she might have left. No, okay. And is Carole?
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Karina, for putting on a great event tonight, and for Petra for all your support and work. All of the performances were amazing. I loved them all. Raymond, you were absolutely brilliant, and I'm so glad that your work is now part of the curriculum. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
No, when you're... Ooh.
What time will you be back?
I'm gonna go shopping.
Oh.
Say thank you. Oh no, they're looking off.